And you should now be able to see my screen. You can. Perfect. Right, okay. So first thing that I didn't really see the point in running over the stuff that I'd put in the website because I'll update during the week and you guys can ask questions about it anyway. So I didn't really see there being... Someone's just bought a fucking baby elephant. Yeah, so I didn't really see much point in covering that stuff. So I thought I'll start on... I'm going to say...
Yeah, man. Where'd you come from?
There we go. So I didn't really see the point in covering stuff that's already on the site because you guys have got access to it and you've got access to us. So it just seemed more relevant to cover something different. So I had a look at GU, which is one that I'd stepped away from a little while. And I think I've probably actually robbed it off Tel as well, to be honest. But
Thief.
Descending channel in the week view and then moving in a little bit closer. I was liking this descending channel, which has got a really nice clean trend line that runs back from December last year. But obviously it gives us a run through on this kind of choppy price action where we saw a lot of big spikes where we had the election and then you had Brexit. So we seem to be coming back on trend now. We've taken a break of this descending trend line. But what I really like about this setup is if we look where we've punched back above this trend line now, that sits really nicely near enough with our 3.8 fib on this move. If this is obviously a reversal, or Sim's joining, fucking hell.
Yeah, he did say.
If this is a reversal and a move to the upside. Now, if we look where the targets are for this descending channel that we appear to have broken out of.
Yo, I'm live.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man.
Finally.
I'm chilling.
So we can see our targets, our 1618 is sat near enough at the top of our week view descending channel, which is nice and clean. And then also, if we look at where the targets are for this trend move, as I say, if this is a reversal trend move, if it's not and we see a rejection off of, say, for example, this level here, then obviously it doesn't mean anything. But if we do see a reversal and this is a good retrace, then the targets for the channel break and the targets for the trend reversal are sat near enough at the same place, which ties in with our which ties in with our channel top, both of them near enough. So that's looking good. Then if we look at our MACD, we can also see across the last three highs, obviously taking this one into account as well, and then the two that have kind of where we've moved into this kind of consolidating range. So they're kind of matching peaks, if you like, but we can see that the bulls are definitely showing up in higher numbers and our bears through the life of this channel that's dropped down have started to fade away. So I think we should be good to be looking for some longs on this pair next week. I think Lewis is covering. Are you on GU this week, Lewis?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see what you've got to say about it because 9 times out of 10, you're right with GU. So I'm interested to see how that plays out and how yours ties in with this.
Yeah.
But then I'll move on to OrdCAD, which initially I was just looking at zoomed right into the 4 hour. Now, obviously, this is consolidated like it's just been ridiculous since like June. We've just done nothing but sit in this range. So I was kind of zoomed right in on just this and looking at this as being, obviously it's only a potential because we've got this neckline sat here. But now if we actually look at where, and I do think there's the possibility for this to come into play. I'm looking to buy this pair realistically, but I don't think we're necessarily, I want to swing it high, but I don't think we're going to really be able to do that just yet. If we look at the targets for the double top, and it is potential at the moment because obviously for us to be able to find the relevant target on this, we need to know where our retrace is going to come. And at the moment, I'm making an assumption that we're going to see a full retrace to our neckline. We could obviously see it punch all the way back up to this level of resistance. We could even see it not give a full retrace. But the 1618 is also sat nicely right at the bottom of this range. So I don't think that this is potentially ready to go yet. But if we move right out, say into the day view, this to me is a continuation, which has come after we have broken this mammoth descending channel. And if we just look, and even if we go conservative, so, okay, realistically, the high to low of our first wave is going to be here to here. But even if we're just going to take it conservatively and say we're going to take it from here to here and bring it back to our true point of retrace, which is here, we still haven't even hit the 1 level fib yet. So I think it's got the potential to make a nice move. If we then zoom right back in and say we are going to take this as a continuation, just out of interest, where do the targets sit for this move? Let's just say, so our 1618 is sat right near enough by our 1 level fib. And if we just, what I always like to do is, and it's not kind of, it's kind of like you're asking the chart for permission that the 1618 is in the right place, which is the wrong way of wording it, because I don't really care what the chart's showing me to the left. I'm interested in what the fib is showing me. And if the fib is showing me that this is the targets of the move, I don't care where my support and resistance levels are to the left, but I always do like to have a little look and just see if it ties in. And if we see our 1618, that is sat beautifully in a level that has been tested multiple times, and we're in the day view as well. So it's a relevant level for sure. But as I say, short term, this week, I think the most sensible move is to wait for a break of this neckline and then ride it down. Whether or not this will be exhausted, if we see a break of the neckline, a hook back and a drop, whether this is going to be the last low that we see before it hooks back and breaks, I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on it and have a look. But for sure, I'll be looking at the top of this range to keep an eye on a break of this level, because if we can break above, and we need to see a daily close, because although I'm looking at this in the 4 hour, this is a day view pattern. So I want to see a day view close above this level, followed by a nice clear cut retrace to then obviously ride this high. But they're two trades that aren't necessarily going to give us the swing trades that we're looking for this week. But I think for sure over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, these could play out very, very nicely. Everyone happy with that?
Yeah, will you get a entry on that rejection? If we see a rejection on that bottom of that continuation, would you enter there as well?
Down here?
Yeah.
If there's a confirmation. So yeah, if it wants to show us like a double bottom, or it gives us a nice clear ride of a trend line down that we can then see a double bottom form to confirm the break of, even better. I'll definitely be looking, but obviously, ideally for a move this big, like we had on EJ, like we had on GJ, ideally for something kind of where you're looking at that many pips, I want to be seeing something like an inverse head and shoulders, and you're not going to get it because you can't physically put that pattern in this range. So yes, potentially I will. My interest is more in making sure we don't miss this, but if it wants to give us this and feed us a clear-cut pattern that shows it's rejected, then yeah, sure, I'll take a trade based on this. Once we then approach this top, so I'll find the 1618, which naturally, just looking at the formation of this range, is going to be sat at the top of this consolidation as well. I will then probably close 50, 60% of the trade, risk-free it to halfway, and then enter another standard when we see this break and hook back up here. So by that point, I'm obviously going to have two. We're in its higher time frame analysis, so we've got the potential to move into the hour, the 15-minute, maybe even this time frame to find some flags that are going to feed us further up as we continue to move, providing they've got relevant targets and we can see some strong impulsive moves away from this actual consolidation itself. Then yeah, sure, why not? It's the sort of trade, you know, if we're going to get a break of that level, with the amount of consolidation you've seen here, it is going to fire when it goes. Like, it doesn't matter. It might even break below and then drop off. There's no guarantee that it's going to go above. but certainly from looking at it in the day view, to me, this is, I mean, I fucking scribbled all over it, but to me, even though we've got this strong kind of fall away and a punch up, I wouldn't even be interested in drawing a trend line down here to say that we've already broken out, because when we're trading a continuation, the whole point of it is that we're looking to take advantage of the impulsive move away. So if you enter a flag and say, for example, you're in the 4-hour view and then you see 4, 5, 6 candles form afterwards and you haven't impulsively broken away at that point, I seriously question whether what you've traded is a genuine flag, because the whole point of it is finding a breakout of the consolidation, waiting for it to pull back. And by trading the flags in the way that we do, we're generally entering where other people are hitting their stop losses, and then you want to see an impulsive move away pretty swiftly. So if you're in the 4-hour view, within, obviously dependent on the time of day that you've taken the trade and depending on what day it is, but say for example, if you're taking a trade in the 4-hour view on say Tuesday morning, I'm going to want to have seen that move by Tuesday afternoon, because we're looking to take advantage of that impulsive move. So I'm not really interested in paying attention to any of this. I'm just taking this whole thing as a consolidation phase. And I'll be surprised, especially even now, looking at the daily price action, that says to me we're going to see this hit the bottom of the range before it makes a move.
I've been watching it for weeks.
Well. If you show them the weekly as well, it definitely looks like a continuation in the weekly, a bullish continuation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what I was looking at with Emma.
Probably even more so, actually. And you've got a break of a trend line.
Yeah.
And also we're seeing the MACD, even in the week view, you're seeing the bullish pressure start to form. So, you know, we might see that it fades away before we then see a bounce. But for sure, I'm keeping an eye on that double top and then trying to catch a ride out of that consolidation. So both of those, I think, I mean, it looks like I've just scribbled all over it here, but I think both of those could give us some nice trades over the next sort of couple of weeks. Any other questions? Everyone happy? Move on to someone else?
Happy.
Sweet.
Good, man.
Cool. In that case, we'll move on to tell her do one. Here we go.
Hello.
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 Right. I'm so rubbish at screen sharing and stuff. Right. Do you have to stop sharing?
It's the button that says screen share screen.
There it is. Okay. You've disabled participant screen sharing, husband. Thank you very much. Okay. It's going to go on GU now, look. Typical. That's not the one that I wanted to show you, but that's the one that's going to come up, which looks a little bit different to Dan's, but that's not what I wanted to show you. And now I've got the stupid bar in the way, so I can't see. Oh, no, wait, it's disappearing. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. So I was going to show you NZD CAD. It's one that I haven't covered for a very long time because I've obviously been a bit preoccupied with CAD Chiff and USD CAD for the last few, what feels like years. So this is how I am seeing NZD CAD for now. We've got a little descending channel, as you know, I quite like my channels. We've tapped this bit. Hang on, let me take that away because then it makes it easier to see. We've tapped the top of the channel and seem to have rejected rejected it quite nicely. If we look in the daily, I don't know if some of you have seen this on WhatsApp already this evening because I sent some over before we started. We've got this little climb here, but on the MACD, it's showing us coming down. So we've got some divergence going on there. So I don't think this is quite ready to come out this week. If it does, then fantastic. I'll wait for the weekly candle to close and then enter on the retest at the top of the channel, as always. But if not, I don't know if it will get all the way down here to the middle of the channel. I just don't see that happening, especially with the likes of USD CADs. The channel on USD CAD is a lot smaller. And although I see that dropping, if I show you that actually just quickly, and delete that. Yeah, the channel's not as wide as the channel on NZD CAD. But even that, I don't think that's going to drop down all the way to the bottom. And if it does, then fantastic. I'll do as I always do and buy down there. But yeah, they're the main ones that I'm looking at the moment. I'm going to wait for that one to break up and close out and get in on the retest. This one, as you know, I've been watching for ages. I've got this extra trend line drawn in as well, because that seems to be resisting the price quite nicely all the way down. So if we can break that, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to break the channel as well. But as I said in the WhatsApp, if it does come to retest, there is a chance that it will come to retest this trend line. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, which is why this time, for once in my life, I won't be putting a buy limit on. Because if I put a buy limit on here, my stop loss is going to have to be below that. And that to me is just too much of a risk. So I'll keep an eye on this little gap in between. And if we can get to here, then I'll buy here. And if not, then I'll have to keep an eye out and see if I can buy it again just before it comes back out. They're my main two. I've obviously got Kadchif as well. And I shared Dixie for you guys earlier too. I don't know if you've seen it. But that is basically my main pairs for this week. As you know, I don't like to keep loads and loads of pairs up, even though it looks like I do. I just like to keep an eye on everything, basically. But that's it, basically.
Tell.
Yes.
On NZD CAD,
Yes.
on the daily,
Yes.
would you class that before the channel top? Would you class that as a continuation?
This bit?
Yeah.
It could well be, yeah. But we're seeing the divergence in the MACD, so that's putting me off it.
Right.
Because we have literally just hit that channel top.
Yeah.
And then rejected. So
Oh, so
well,
it has rejected that channel top.
Yeah, it could. I mean,
No,
could well
another
come
question, Tel.
Go on.
Stay on that. See how you've got on the volume bar. You've got that massive
This
green
one.
bar. Do we place much relevance in that if it hasn't actually moved because of it? Could that be orders, a ton of orders set, ready to go
Like
for a couple of
building
days?
up.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be. What day was that? 25th of
That's
June.
quite significant impulse of volume.
That is a lot of volume compared to the rest of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what was happening on trade days on that day. I'm just gonna have a quick
But
look.
like, if you notice that, do you place much relevance on it?
I mean, it should definitely be taken into account.
Okay.
But as you can see, it didn't really do a lot after that. I mean, we did move up. I mean, it's in the day view, so that is a few pips that you could have taken there. But just purely based on the fact that we've rejected off of there, and this MACD is, I mean, it looks to be turning up, getting ready to go back up again, but there is divergence. So we need to be really, really wary of that, which is exactly why I need to wait for it to break out and actually physically close above this. Because otherwise I'm guessing, I'm gambling.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Cool.
why I'm waiting. And I do agree. There is a lot of volume in that one candle. Did I mention about the double bottom? What time frame? In the weekly. This?
No, not really, is it?
No, I don't think
not
it's a
really.
double bottom.
Okay.
But it's definitely a decent channel to be sat in at the moment. Especially where it was ranging so much beforehand and then it just started slowly descending. But yeah, they're my main ones.
Tel, you also, or someone mentioned in the group that they're expecting USD like weakness this week. What's the fundamentals behind that? Or is that just the Dixie?
It's technical, purely technical.
Yeah, cool.
Because I've obviously got the USD CAD.
So it's just a continuation that'll drop.
Yeah.
Cool.
I definitely think that looks like a well, in my opinion, that's a continuation. We've seen a nice steady drop over the end of May, beginning of June. And then we've just started this little mini channel, I like to call it, as what I believe to be a continuation. And that the MACD looks to be wearing out for the buyers as well. So yes, that is.
Could you scroll out a little bit
on this?
Yeah. Yes, it could.
Everything is just
come back and
completely
touch.
ranging.
Yeah.
The ranging's, they're winding me up. Because it's happening with everything at the moment. But yeah, that's my theory behind the whole Dixie thing. That's why I've sent it, because it's compared to this whole consolidation bit here, we've had the drop and now we're just slowly climbing back up again.
Okay.
So I can see that breaking out and dropping again.
Just more like long-term wise, do you find that certain months of the year you generally, say over the last couple of years, you've had, say June, July, or whichever, that you've had a lot of volume and a lot of movement in significant months? Or it varies completely?
I guess it can vary. I mean, obviously you've got NFP at the beginning of every month, so that can
but certain
trigger
months
a
in
lot.
particular, like for the past 3 years, June, July, say for instance, it's just a lot of movement. Or
Christmas moves quite a lot.
For the last 2 years, March has been great for the last 2 years.
Okay.
I mean, markets do run in seasons, don't they?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I would have thought it'd be, Christmas dies down because obviously everyone's...
Christmas is
deadly. It dies down, but it goes really dramatic. It goes really choppy. If you watch gold, that moves in stupid ways over Christmas.
But I mean, it's fundies, isn't it? It's down to elections, and obviously you've got Brexit. That's probably going to be going on for the next fucking 40 years. I mean, but like, I'm not a fan of, as Harry will know, I'm not a fan of necessarily trading the fundies, but I'm well aware that they do move the markets.
Yep. We got Kanye for president next, so. You guys seen that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, Yeezys would be going for like £900 a pair. Fucking madness. So, are you done?
Musk is apparently backing him.
Say that again.
Elon Musk is apparently backing him, so he is.
I've seen that. I have seen that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Just you have my support. That means nothing.
President then.
Insane.
Start calling Starlinks over Kanye tunes.
So you're done, aren't you, Dill?
Yeah, I'm done.
So should we do Phil? Do you want to go? Because you're like 2-3 hours in front of us, aren't you?
Yeah, mate. I need to get my head down. You know,
it's hard work sitting in that sun all day.
Bit fun today, mate.
So yeah, you want to crack on, mate? Share your screen.
Okay. So I like the pound chef. You see it?
Oh, fucking hell.
There you go.
Wait.
Got it?
Yeah, I like that setup a lot.
So like last week, I've seen this falling wedge, spotted that one out, and obviously with the MACD showing what it was showing. Now I went in, annoyed again, I keep doing this. I got like 50 pips in and stuck it to break even. And thought that'll do, and I left it, and I went away. It come back, and I wasn't even here. I wasn't sat here. I was out. I think I was in the supermarket. I thought I'll have a look, and the trade had closed. I thought, and it had come back down, and then obviously off it went, didn't it, without me? But anyway, that happens. So I'm going to have to learn from that. But I've been looking at this now. I've just been keeping an eye on it and what it's doing and where it's gone. Now, am I right in thinking this is potentially making like an inverse? It could make an inverse head and shoulders.
So
that's what I've got.
What you need to do is to scroll back to the left a little bit.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is we need to know the point in which we need to understand the primary trend. So if I do this, can everyone see me drawing on the screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So what we need to be able to do is understand the primary trend, condense it up as well so we can see even more, because it's possible that move up is just a pullback. Okay, no. So it is in range. So what we need to be able to do, because realistically, the trend that we're paying attention to, the high starts here, and this is potentially what we're seeing as being the last low. So we need to measure how many candles there are between the high down to that shoulder.
Okay.
So that you can use, if you click the ruler over here, and then literally just click once and drag down. It'll tell you how many
So you
periods
want to
it is.
go to here?
Down to the shoulder. So wherever you're saying the shoulder is here, I believe.
Yeah, here, yeah.
So right to the tip of that shoulder. So it's 63 bars.
Okay, yeah.
So it's just short of being a primary trend. I mean, some people take it. Some people do 60, 70, 80. For me, realistically, I'm looking for a minimum of 100, ideally 120 candles. And then if you condense it up even more and take even more price action from back here, you can see that we are potentially in a downward trend from over here.
Yeah.
But then if we're taking all of this trend into consideration, how relevant is that? Because that's not really at the bottom, is it? When you look at it here now, we appear to be in kind of like stuck in a range.
Yeah.
So I think you're right, and I think you're going to get a move, but it's not a genuine inverse in head and shoulders. But I'm a pain in the ass with stuff like that, to be perfectly honest.
So, I mean, what I was looking at, because I still think this is going to drop a little bit. I mean, looking at a few of the other pound pairs, they look like they could just drop a little bit to certain areas of structure. And like the dollar index, I've got this weekly level out on the dollar index. Let me show you. This thing's just become a mess because I've drawn so much on it. This area here where we've gone through.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been watching and thinking, right, it's gonna climb back up. It's gonna climb back up to this level. Fucking measuring tool. Up to this level and push away. But it keeps, coming back up to around these levels, and then it fanning around here. But it just seems that if it did just gain a little bit more power, it would put a lot of the pound pairs and a few of the euros in a right place, ready to go off in another direction. If if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But like with this one here, I do want to see it just drop that little bit more, and then I'll look at going in again. But yeah, that's all I'm looking at really.
So what you looking for it to kind of tap your box, and then you're going to take an entry on that?
Yeah, but even then, I still think through that. I think through even lower, maybe possibly down at this level. I look at, like when I spoke to you the other day, I always look at the volume, don't I, of how much it's building up and how much price moves away and stuff. And I look at areas of where there is a little bit more action going on and where there is potentially going to be a bit more volume. And this area here, I don't think has got as much volume as an area through here. I couldn't tell you exactly where, but do you know what I mean? If it did come down to this area, that would tie up perfectly on this, on the dollar index and everything else to go, and then go, right, okay, now I can look for my buy, but only until it gets to that point. At the minute, I think if you went down here and then went for a buy, probably get stuffed out, I think.
What I'd potentially do first of all is slab a fib retracement from the low to the high, and just see, because your level looks like it's going to sit nicely with the 3.8, and then
so from here to here,
bottom to top, that's it. Yeah, see your level
right in the middle. Yeah,
that sits really nicely with the 50 and the 3.8, and then I'd also slap a fib extension from here to here. That's so clean. I said that last week when you posted it. I really like that setup.
Yeah, and I missed the other one when it broke out the top of that as well.
For fuck's sake.
Was your take profit that support zone, Phil?
At the top,
or was it open? No, you're blue. So
yeah,
had it gone to hit, would you have been taken out?
Well, my plan was to keep it open because I'm like, oh, hey, this is going. I'm staying in this, and I've got it right down here. Nah, got stopped.
So you didn't set a take profit?
No, didn't set a take profit.
It's all right.
I had my 1 to 3 was up there. Yeah, my 1 to 3 was up there because that's what I'm working at. So you can see what I mean. It come up to there and then come down. It comes to there, then come down, then went up. But by then, driving home angry, mate.
I've stopped taking away I waited at least a good 40% now before I actually put it down to break even, because it happens so much.
Oh, mate, I must have. I've done so many last week.
Exactly. Yeah, I've done it for months. You quickly realize that if you're like, if your analysis was correct, just leave it because that's what your buffer was there for anyway.
Well, this is what I keep thinking to myself. You know what I mean? I've got this risk management in place, and that's there. You know, so if it takes a hit, it's fine because you know I've got these other trades to work with. But I just 50 pips. There's no way is that coming back down.
Exactly.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
1 hour.
And then I was literally on my phone. I was like, "Well, why's that gone off? What's the matter with my phone?"
Was there any clues? Like, I mean, you said you weren't watching it, so I mean, it would have been a bit difficult. But was there anything, like, is there a bearish engulfing or anything in the hour view? Like, is there anything that could have showed you that that was gonna?
Layla, I'm on here. You're gonna have to wait. Yeah, that's my parenting skills. I will be quiet in a minute. It's Dan. You got to blame Dan. You can't.
Oh, mate, that's literally bounced. That's literally taken your break-even stop out and gone.
It knew, mate. It's all Phil's in a trade. Let's take him out. That's what it did. But yeah, I mean,
at what point did you move your stop? How far into profit was it? Literally move it, go out, come back, stopped out.
Yeah, it was up around here. I was wherever 50 pips was. Short was around 50 pips. I was in. Yeah, look up here. So that was around 50.
Just as it reversed.
And I thought, no, wait, if anything, it's going to come back down to this level like it did.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's it. There's no way it's coming back down to where I've gone in. What? Yes. And it's gone.
But then could you got a better entry?
Yeah, but I want there. I could have got a better entry here, I think.
And then obviously if you would have moved it to BE then obviously you wouldn't have been stopped out sooner.
I mean, I got excited here. You can see that.
Just entered.
I got excited. That actually came down and started going away. And I was thinking, I've got to go out in a minute. Nah, let's get in. I'm in. And then I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, shit, I'm going to get stopped out. And then it started turning. I thought, no, you got it right, mate. You've got it right. You're doing all right. 50 pips in. I'm happy with my mask on in the supermarket. Next thing I'm out. So.
Very good.
I think it'll give you a nice entry though. I do think that will make way for another entry.
I'll keep it. I mean, I'll keep an eye on it. And just see what happens. I mean, I'm not going to like revenge trade and I'm going to get back in. But it's like I've missed two there. To be fair, I've missed a couple entries there.
Yeah, you've had the retrace because you've got like that double bottom, which is giving you a break of the trend line.
And I only spotted that wedge literally when this candle was forming. I was just flicking. I thought, hang on a minute. And that's when I sent it in. And then,
it's a great setup. It is a great setup.
Could you class that, or well, I know obviously you said about it being a right shoulder, but could you class it as a flag? A mini channel, or a flag in the 4 hour?
Bit long. Over here.
Yeah, there.
Oh, just because it wasn't.
It could be a continuation.
You could trade that now, mate. So to be fair, now if you were to measure that from the top to the move in, it could be an inverse head and shoulders in the hour view. It sounds like I'm being ridiculous, but when you're talking entries and
like this, you mean here now?
Yeah, I reckon it's likely going to bounce off that support zone.
Yeah, mate. I think you're on the right side
really
of it.
Well, though.
I think because I was looking at the 50 as well. It's the first time in not in a while, considering a few days, it's broken up through it and then come back down. And like it can just roll around for a bit, can't it? Depending if it's going by the 50. But I think if I get into here, then I will look, and then I'll go in again.
Because it has acted as a nice sort of dynamic support in the past as well. Looking to the left.
It's done all right.
Yeah, it has.
In a few places, isn't it?
True.
So that's kind of what I'm looking at. But I was just a little bit annoyed by it. It's just what's very typical.
What did the week price action close as?
This is where I've got to get better. I don't always look at it. I only started the other week when you said, it's the end of the month and stuff. I better start looking. I need to start looking at these levels. So it's kind of gone. I
thought it was bullish engulfing, but it's not.
When you look at it that way, it's kind of. It's come down. It's like in the middle of nowhere. So I just had to keep an eye on it and watch and see what's going on. It's only here that a few bulls start to come in on that. You know what I mean? But
yeah. Mate, still a great setup.
oh, thank you. Shit trade. Great setup, shit trade.
Hilarious.
But yeah. But no, listen, I'll leave you to it because I'm keeping my daughter awake because she's just told me off. So.
All right, mate.
Oh, bless her.
No problem. You take care. We'll speak to you tomorrow
Yourself.
anyway, buddy.
In a bit.
All right, take it easy. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
So let's
Bless
go
him.
for who wants to go next. What else did we have? So we got Harry, Ed, and
Short
Lewis.
and
So
sweet.
you guys can have a fight over it. Oh, Gary, you were doing one as well, weren't you, mate?
Yeah, it's just short and sweet, mate.
Do you want to go next then?
If you want, yeah.
Yeah, shoot.
Bollocks.
Bollocks.
It's
Very
my
well,
mouse.
What have you done with it?
It's turned itself off and now it don't work.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It doesn't work.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, man.
It need batteries.
This flag formed up on Friday night, just before the markets closed. So I'll be looking at that tonight when the markets open back up.
Those two levels, the 1 and the 1618, are sat at convenient points, aren't they?
Yeah. I was going to say this 1618 sits nice with this level here. So I don't know. Need to see how it plays out.
Have you looked at the CHF JPY I put on the site?
What? Sorry.
Have you looked at what I've written it up as on the site?
I had a quick look earlier. I'll have a better look tonight.
You've got a bullish view as well, haven't you, Dan?
No, he's turned bearish.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm biased on it at the moment, to be honest. I was bullish.
I'm bearish at the minute as well.
I do agree with what Gary's put up there. I think the fact that you've got that phenomenal stop hunt on Friday, that generally kind of means that you could see quite a big move early market opening. That doesn't.
Was there any
necessarily
reason
mean
for
you're gonna see
that?
it tonight. What, that spike?
Because the yen, literally, like my NZDJPY as well, just went mental.
Fired up and then came back.
Yeah, I was like, what
Stop
the
hunts,
hell has
man.
gone on there?
Yeah, or Jappy did the same. So I took it out. I took what was left of all Jappy on that, and then it rolled back down.
Yeah.
So I think there was
I'm
no
not gonna
reason
look at that.
for it. I was just sort
Don't
of
know, mate. Don't know.
fuck it.
Not sure. Couldn't tell. I've not looked into it actually. I'd seen this in the hour view because in the 4 hour view it's a little bit less obvious.
Yeah.
I still, as I say, I'm 50-50 with it. I'm just going to trade it as it goes. I've got the setup up on the laptop. Same as Gary's. This is the beauty of these patterns, though, isn't it? Like you can have a bias on it, and then when it doesn't hit an entry criteria, you don't get burnt. Doesn't matter. The only thing I don't like about that is the MACD in the hour view. I'm not a massive fan of.
No.
But I mean, it's a lower low. It's a lower high. Sorry, so it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
I had this as well, but I get taken out, so I'll be looking to come back into this, depending on what the MACD and stuff does.
Yeah, I'd moved my channel. My channel was in a different place to Tel's, and then I looked at it last night and turned around straight away and said, actually, I'm more inclined to. Mine looks similar to yours now, except I think I'm just slightly including that dropout that you've obviously taken an entry on. I don't think this channel's dead yet. No. I think it will give a good entry. But I don't think the MACD it doesn't look like it's completely died yet. Maybe you see a center punch, so a punch to like the middle level before it goes. I don't know.
And check out that massive volume bar.
Yeah.
Is that still in the channel for you, that Dan?
On a doji.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Nice.
Would you just buy that back up to the middle?
Say that again.
Or like, say like in the 4 hour view, would you just like buy that until it like rides back up?
I personally wouldn't. If it was a bigger channel, yeah. But at the moment, no, not on something like that because it could break. You know, the markets could open, and it could break out by Monday afternoon. We could be kind of hanging 60, 70 pips below the channel, and then waiting for a pullback. But by the same token, we could see a rejection of that. It could open high, and punch up to the channel middle, even the channel top. So if the channel has got more depth to it, so if the channel is physically like wider, then yeah, there's no reason why not. But the problem that we've got here is it's sat right at the channel bottom and the markets are about to open. If it was like maybe Tuesday night, then yeah, potentially, because we could jump into a lower time frame, which is going to hold relevance because the markets are obviously warmed up. And then you could look for something, rejection in the form of pin bars, double bottoms, etc., breaks of trend lines that could potentially give way to an entry at the bottom of the channel, because this is the day view. So that channel is still going to have a fair few pips to ride up in. But being as the fact that it's sat right on the channel bottom and it did nothing but consolidate across the channel bottom for Friday, no, I've got no interest in taking near enough anything, I don't think, when the market's open tonight or even probably tomorrow morning.
Later on in the week.
Yeah.
Something happened to CAD on that day, didn't it? There was a lot of volume on
No,
that.
dollar did the same.
It's Trump.
Yeah, it probably is.
Soon to be Kenya.
I heard there was some talks of oil news and it affected the US.
Yeah, it probably makes sense. That'd be probably why you'd seen it move over, because US obviously stock a shit ton of oil and CAD are obviously a powerhouse in terms of supply. So that'd explain why it's affected both of them.
So US had GDP on that day and core durable goods orders. Trying to find anything for Canada, but I can't see anything for that day. So something happened, definitely. So there's a lot of volume in that. There's a lot of volume in NZD CAD. So it seems to be the CAD in the US that got affected, but it didn't really move it after it happened.
That's me anyway, short and sweet.
Nicely done. Cheers, mate. I'll let Harry, Lewis and Ed fight it out over who goes next.
Well, then,
Nice
excellent.
work now. That was nice and easy.
Just because he knows Harry wants to.
Fuck, he'll be complaining about that mouse this whole time.
It
All right, so
apparently.
So I'm going to take MACD off for a sec. So I had the same viewpoint as Phil. We can see here we've got lower lows, lower lows. Now this is just my setup. Obviously, Dan, I know you've mentioned about that 70 to 100 pips odd. One thing I see sort of a lot of confluences in this, that if we start to reject this area here, punch above the neckline, then I'll be looking for a buy. Purely with this MACD, it does look like the bears are tiring out the whole way down this channel. We can see that the price yet hasn't actually reached the same level yet. We've got a lot more bullish momentum. I'm only going to be taking this trade if it does sort of push up and then reject on a trend line. We can see here that we've got a wedge pattern as well that it's come out of. So you could potentially trade this as a wedge or inverse head and shoulders. I know you said there was about 70 odd pips, right, that you class.
Yeah.
Is that which time frame would you do though?
So yeah, it really depends on the time frame. If you're looking at this as being a 4-hour setup, then obviously we count it. If you look at it in the hour view, and in the hour view, all of this, so your wedge and your inverse head and shoulders, it all still looks relevant and real. Then measure it in the hour view. In the hour view, it's more than enough candles. That's what I'm saying. I totally agree with yours and Phil's bias on this pair.
Yeah.
Just in the 4-hour view, there's not enough to class that as a primary trend. But in the hour view, more than enough.
Got you. In terms of fib extensions, I've obviously there to there retest here. This comes up as a 1.6. If I do it from an inverse head and shoulder, it comes up there. So there's two confluences here for the 161 and the 1 to come up to this support zone. So I might even just trade it to there. There's obviously an area of interest there. So I'm only going to do that if this momentum does start to turn bullish. But I think Phil put it in the group midweek, and so I've been looking at it since. So I'll probably look to take that maybe Tuesday.
Man.
That's how I see it.
It's a lovely
setup. Thanks. And then UCAD, I entered this, I think, on Thursday. Whether or not this is I don't really like this channel that much, but we do have relevant touches. I saw this big impulse drop, consolidate, and then an area of interest here, which was the 50 zone. So I took an area right there. Currently, it's about 70 pips, but I'm not liking this MACD too much. If the volume increases, I'll continue to hold this trade. But right now, I'm risk-free. So I'm not too worried. Obviously, if it does come down to the channel bottom. One thing I wanted to ask, Dan, is if I'm going to get the extensions and say this is a relevant channel to take, would you do it from this level here or from the impulse? Which would bear more relevance?
In the small ascending channel you've got?
Yes.
It really depends on how well sort of the first wave is with the entry. So I personally would be taking it.
Would go there. Yeah.
There to there.
Okay. That's what I sort of did both.
I don't think your retrace is done yet. I think you're right in holding that. And I think the MACD certainly is showing. I think you're going to see that push down, come back, and then go.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. So I haven't really done a proper one because I wasn't sure if the retrace would come back to this zone or back to this small zone. But
if it can hit the bottom of that main channel, then happy days.
That would be, yeah, exactly. That's a good 400 pips, I think.
If it takes that level out, you're laughing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I've drawn it there.
Yeah,
if it does start to rebound, I might just take out a position.
And this is exactly why I closed my buy last week, because I just didn't want to see it drop all the way down.
Yeah, I think the reason I got in before the actual break was purely because the MAs, we've got divergence. The histogram, you can see that the bulls are pulling out.
Dying off.
I'm using this in everything. I find it's got so much relevance.
The MACD.
That's good. I like it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when it's used properly, it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And then here's something quick. I mean, it doesn't really go against my UCAD trade too well, but I don't even know on TL if I can trade it yet. I haven't traded in ages, but I like to just monitor it.
I'm finding that oil is having less impact on CAD anyway.
On CAD?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still obviously it's still going to affect it, but I'm finding if you compare it to how oil was driving CAD kind of 8-9 months ago, it's fizzling away considerably.
Okay, that's good to know. But I'm not going to trade this. I'm purely using it for just an area of interest. But I'm noticing that the MAs here are drying up significantly while this pair is slowly pushing up. So I could see oil take a drop. Whether or not it'll push this low, I don't think so. But there is an area of interest. So that's good to know. I thought that oil still played a heavy interest in CAD. But
so I don't know, that could play out quite easily if we end up going into another fucking lockdown because nobody's listening and oil will take another crash anyway.
Which is highly likely.
Yeah.
And that's sit nicely with that.
Yeah. So I think I was going to take a trade on this Thursday, Friday. I didn't bother. I just want to stick to currency pairs at this point. Yeah, but I like to monitor it anyway. But I think if this gets broken, you've already seen a little wedge that potentially could be retracing and then dropping. And then if we get a break of this trend line here, I think it could keep going. So We'll see.
Like it.
Cool.
That's right.
Nice one, Ed.
Sure.
Who's next?
Can you still see my screen?
Yeah, mate.
Put the porn away.
No, you can't. Can you?
No,
he questioned it, so he's back on porn.
He's looking a bit worried. He's like, hang on.
Harry, I don't mind, mate. I can go last if you want, mate. It's up to you.
You talking to me?
Yeah, it's up to you. You want to go next, mate? I don't mind.
Well, isn't Azim showing a chart as well?
Yeah,
I'm not sure anything doing that.
Oh,
it's not nice.
Get your fibs out.
I'll get them out for you. Don't worry. Hang on, my mouse isn't working. Hang on.
Have you put a new battery in it?
No, basically the light just came off and now it's gone back on, so we're all good.
Brand new mouse and it's not even working properly.
I say brand new. I've got it with the laptop, so it's about 10 years old.
Yeah, it's the operator.
Oh God, it's probably about 20 years old then.
Well, yeah.
Mum got bought it as a birthing present.
Right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Right, that's the trade that I was already in. I showed you that last week. We'll forget about that in a minute. So this is my bias on CHF JPY. Can you hear me?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't say no.
Yeah, so obviously I've been looking at the CHF JPY this week. On the 4 hour, I've seen this ascending channel. Obviously, we've had quite a few touches on the bottom of the channel here, as well as obviously the top. And then I've seen my favourite pattern start to form. A symmetrical triangle. And I know people class it as a continuation, although this week I did actually trade it as not a continuation. I broke out the bottom, and then I had a retrace to the bottom trend line, and I took a short position. And I think I got 60 pips. I can't remember what trade it was. But yeah, I did post it in the group chat, and I'm expecting a similar result from this trade here. Obviously, we have got the channel as well, which I would like to break. And then obviously get an entry point around about here, where we've obviously got quite a steady support there. And obviously that lines up with the channel bottom. Obviously, I will get a fib out once we break either the triangle or the channel, depending on the impulse move that we get. And then, yeah, I'll get a fib on it. And what was the other pair? Yeah, bastard.
It's got to be one of those.
I know it's going to be one of those. CAD CHF. Obviously, I know someone else, obviously, I think they had a bit of a biased view to it, but this is what I've seen as well. I've seen a mini channel start to form here. And obviously, with the bearish pressure that we have seen, I would like to see a break below the mini channel and obviously trade that. Obviously, I've gone into a slower time frame because I've got rid of my channel because, like obviously everyone else, they've sort of adjusted their channels. I just got rid of it because every time I wanted to trade the channel, it went against it, as everyone else saw. So I've obviously gone down the time frames, and I've just found this little mini channel. If we break underneath, then I will obviously look into it further. If not, then I won't bother trading it at all. My main focus this week is CHF JPY, NZD JPY, and AUD CAD. And they're obviously my main focuses this week.
Can you show us your NZJP? I don't think no one's mentioned that. Oh,
yeah, another triangle which I traded. Funnily enough, actually the opposite to the impulse move we had. Obviously we had an impulse move into the triangle, bearish one, and then obviously I've traded the bullish position, being a symmetrical triangle. I got a lovely entry. I placed an order. As I saw the break, I placed an order exactly there at 69,284, and then obviously rode it up. And it's been a nice trade ever since.
Stock's at break even now.
The stop is at I think it's in profit. I think I've put my stop about there just to cover the
yeah, good man.
whatever charge it is.
It's a great entry, mate. But you said it's obviously moved in the opposite direction to the impulse move that's moved into the pattern.
Yeah.
Are you referring to this?
What, this move here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if it's symmetrical, does it?
Because that's split with that, so there's no impulsive move into the pattern.
Right, even though that would be classed as a flag.
Yes, it's a continuation, isn't it? So that in
Yeah,
itself itself is a correction. So you've got two separate impulses. So the impulsive move is actually within the pattern itself. So jump in the day view. In the day view, is this still visible? If it's not, then yeah, sweet.
Hang on, let me just get my phone on charge. Everything's gone dark. Oh, hang on. Oh no, the lead won't reach.
He's gone.
Hang on.
He's gone.
I'll put you against my candle.
Oh, no,
It's all right. I'm good. Right. There you go. You're on charge. Yeah, what was you saying, Dan?
Jump into the day view. Yeah, see, even in the day view, it's broken up with that pin bar.
Yeah, it's
so I
broken
get
there.
like to look at just from a zoomed out perspective, that looks like one big impulse. But if I was trading a flag or a pennant or anything like that, that immediately that section there puts me off looking at that as a flagpole because there's nothing important about that candle.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense then there.
So,
but then, would you still class this though as a symmetrical triangle?
So as I've said before, I'm not saying they don't work. I don't necessarily trade triangles. I've got the triangle marked up, the same as you've got on CHF-JPY. I've got near enough exactly the same as a bear kind of outlook on the pair. I totally agree that is a triangle. And I think you've got a great trade there. I think you've taken a great entry. You've spotted a lovely break. You've seen a lovely pullback. The only thing I wanted to touch on was, as you said, was about the impulsive move.
That move there, yeah.
Yeah, for us to have an impulsive move, doesn't matter whether we're looking at a flag, a triangle, a pennant, doesn't matter what we're looking at. For us to have
it's got to be a straight candle. It's got to be a straight impulsive move.
It needs to be a solid impulsive move like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes obviously a lot of sense, and that obviously helps with other patterns as well.
But I like the setup, mate. I think, have you applied a fib to that triangle?
I haven't, but I will just show you the week view as well, because basically what I'm hoping for as well is I'm hoping for a bigger trade on this.
Okay.
Because I am hoping, obviously this here in itself on the MACD is showing some really nice bullish momentum. And obviously we've been sitting in this descending channel on the weekly, and I would like to obviously catch it here again as well. If we can break obviously this channel and then come back down for a retrace, I'd like to get an entry around here as well, and obviously take a long position here.
Yeah, sure.
And also, has anyone looked at GBPAUD?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. 2 secs, Dan.
Yeah.
You know you said about a fib.
Uh-huh.
Where would you put it?
On the triangle?
Yeah, I think it was on the 4 hour.
Alt and R, Harry. Alt and R.
A what?
Alt and R. If you hit Alt and R on the keyboard, it resets to where you were.
Alt and R. Oh.
What's Alt on a Mac?
Command. Oh no, it won't. That's Shift, isn't it?
Who knows?
Don't know.
So yeah, was you talking about fib retracement or a fib extension?
Fib extension. Where would you apply your fib extension to on that?
I would go from here to there to there.
Okay, so you're looking at the trend move itself.
Yeah, that's what I had done for my 1618. Obviously, I put it a little bit below because I always do that.
So you're then looking for the trade on this trend by applying that. So for me to apply it to this triangle, I'd be applying it here to here to your point of retrace.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I did obviously look at that as well, but I just like to be quite conservative as well. Obviously, if I did go for that, obviously if I went for that as well, then yeah, I could obviously, well, to be honest, that could be where my I might retrace back to the top of my channel.
Yep.
I was thinking.
So, yeah, obviously, if that obviously does, if it carries on going up to there, and then if I see rejection there, then that just confirms I may see obviously rejection on the channel top.
Yeah, but you've got to remember that your channel. What time frame is your channel? Or weekly?
A weekly, yeah. So
so you need to see your price action punch up this week and close above this week.
Yeah, yeah.
And the following week, you want to see it pull back, which is tying nicely because how often do we see that we can hit a 1618 on a big move, and then we sit and range between the 1618 and the 1, and that would give you a lovely point of retrace being on the 1 level fib, which would probably tie in with the 38 on your fib retracement. So that could be a really nice trade.
Yeah, that's obviously what I'll be hoping for. Obviously, once I get that move out of the descending channel, I will get a fib on there to see if because I love that 382 level recently. It's like even with this trade here, I believe it was on this triangle here. I managed to get and it was on that 382 still. Obviously, it was bouncing around the 382 and the 5. but that 382 level still showed a really good point of entry.
What are you just hitting the 3.8 and then entering?
As long as I've got the confirmation there. Like this trade wasn't. That was just purely on the retrace of there.
Sure.
I literally saw the price obviously come out of there. I started an order, quite obviously an ambitious order, and it literally just hit. It came down, hit it, and then obviously we've gone up.
It's a great trade.
What makes you place your stop loss, sir?
What's that?
Like, what makes you place your stop loss, sir, on the triangle? Like, how do
My
you know where
stop
to
loss
go?
was there. I was literally just above this level here. I'm pointing at my screen, but you can't actually see. It was on these top candles here. Obviously, I can see that this acts as quite a nice support level here.
So why have you put your stop loss just above it?
On the support.
Yeah, that was kind of a bit of an issue when I placed the trade. I realised that afterwards, but I just sort of let it play its ball because I planned on losing 20 pips. So that's what I was hoping that I'm not hoping to lose, but that's what I planned my move.
Needed to lose those 20 pips.
But yeah, also, this one is, I've looked at quite a long hold trade as well for me. This would be quite a really nice trade if it plays ball. Like, if it does play ball. Obviously, just sitting in this channel here, and then obviously we've had a really nice break and retest as well.
Don't even talk to me about GBP order.
Why?
It's been a bastard. If you try and draw that channel from the absolute
look,
on a
high,
break.
Look at these tabs. Look at that. Look at that.
but where have you started the channel, Harry?
Well, up the top of it.
Show me.
I shall show you.
You left out a bit there.
It's not the
Where have
fucking
you
top.
started
It's
the channel,
floating in the
Harry?
middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but he's got 2 touches on the bottom, so it counts.
3, look. Look, you'd class that as a tap,
dear.
surely.
It's not a bad channel.
It didn't.
It's not a fucking good one either.
This
I
is
like
why
my
I didn't
triangle.
like it.
Oh shit.
Because I took it from the absolute high, and then we got the retrace, and then it literally climbed. I don't know, what was it, about 100 pips near enough, and then
and it dropped.
just turned around and went straight back down. So that's out of my watch list for this week and for the coming weeks until it
that's fair
decides
enough.
to
I was
make
gonna
another
say,
channel.
The main 3 are obviously them 3 that I said about earlier, but yeah, that's mine for the week.
I think I do think it's good. The only thing I'm not a fan of is, as I say, is where that channel starts, because we want to see a channel start at the start of a move. So ideally, we want to see that either there or here.
Yeah.
Or even here.
Well, I can move it down to there.
Yeah, well, I probably would then, because, you know, that could be the difference between maybe 20 or 30 pips down here. I'm not saying it is. And I like the channel. I do think it's relevant. I just didn't like where it started, that's all.
No,
but,
I was going to say, I think my NZDJPY is going to be my main focus this week, because that would be a lovely trade if I can get it going into next week on that weekly.
I agree.
You got a channel back here as well? Is there a channel that's happened back here? I haven't looked at GBP Ord in weeks, so...
To be honest, I as you all know, I haven't
Go
played...
back, come back to the left a bit, because what I'd be interested to see is, if you've got a channel back there that's potentially broken, has it hit its
Anyone
targets?
know why I can't scroll from here? It just comes up with a little finger.
Say that again. What are you trying to do?
It shouldn't do. It should just...
That's what I mean. Like, I can scroll here, but over here, it comes up with a little finger.
Are you on the free version still?
Yes, I am on the free version.
that might be why, because it's trying to show the adverts.
All right.
Well, show me the advert, and then I can just get rid of it.
Do it from the bottom, it's easier.
What, from the bottom to the top?
Yeah. If you're doing an ascending channel, it's always easier to start from the bottom and go up.
Yeah, but where would you class, though, the top, like the beginning of the channel? Because there's no...
That bottom red candle.
What, there?
No. Lower down.
Below that.
Lower down. That one. There we go.
Oh yeah, and then you move it up, can't you?
Yes. I just find it easier to draw. If you're doing an ascending one, do it from the bottom.
Yeah,
if you're doing a descending, do it from the top.
Yeah, I like that. I will use that in future.
Harry, you obviously use MAs. Do you place any crossover relevances with the
No,
52?
not at all. They mean
200?
fuck all to me.
Good.
Good man.
Wondering.
Just make me laugh. Oh dear.
Because everyone
I don't
loves
even know
chucking them
mine
on
are
their
this
charts, but they all say they don't use them.
The only time I use them is if I see actual dynamic and support.
So what I used them, I did it the other night. I stuck an Instagram story up that said about, oh, you get back what you put in or whatever, because I was back testing. What I've started doing is using them. I want to back test it a little bit more. The 50 on, I'd say 70% of the pairs that I've traded plays really, really nicely as a confirmation for an entry of a break of a pattern. So for example, where Harry's got this ascending channel that we've literally just drawn, on that one, look at where it's tested the 50.
Yeah, they are.
It's bang on. It's giving you your entry to that channel
lovely.
break. Yeah, mate. And honestly, I'm not even joking. The other night, I must have taken, I think I did 15 trades on, what was I on, Tel? Was it Euro NZD? Yeah. I did 15 trades on channels on Euro NZD, and I hit 13 take profits, 1 break even and 1 stop loss.
What, you using that method?
Based on entries, based on the 50 MA after, but it's only coming from the break of a pattern. So I'm not just looking and going, oh, we've hit the 50 MA, it's time to buy.
What time frame were you trading on?
4 hour, mate.
4.
Yeah, it does work. I've tried it as well. It does work.
Mate. But then if you were to, so that was on Euro NZD, and then there was, I think it was USD CAD, and USD CAD just did nothing but it fucking stop loss after stop loss with it.
Oh, wow.
So some pairs would be great with it, other pairs not so much.
Cool.
A Sim's drinking out of a fucking petrol tank.
Get ready, man.
Man's got a jerry can.
But you know is what Harry needs to do? I've just thought about it now as well. You know, in that previous channel, he's got the ascending one. If he just applies the trend-based fib extension to that, just to see where his targets are going to be for the previous channel.
Yeah, mate.
I like
100%.
In terms
see the
of
targets for the descending one.
possibly going to happen for the next one.
Definitely.
The way I've drawn it, it's still got a bit to go. So, are you in that trade, Harry? GA?
No.
You've just drawn it out.
Yeah, I hate trading the pound at the moment. I hate it.
Previous one, put it on.
You've said that for weeks.
I know I've said that for weeks. I just don't like trading it. Full stop. Like, I don't care if I'm British. I just don't like trading it.
Don't care if I'm British. Fuck the GBP.
Yeah.
Do we not expect, fundies wise, Dan, your fave? Do we not expect?
It's in. You're amazing.
Where is it?
It's there. Can't you see it?
No, you should stop sharing.
Oh.
Because if you apply the target for the previous one, it'll tell you where it's possibly going to reverse for this one as well.
100%.
Look, from the centre line of that chart, which has played obviously a nice.
Oh, look at that.
Resemblance, it literally lines up.
That's my position, right?
Yeah, but how have you applied your fib?
Show us your fib.
The fuck have you done? What are you doing, mate?
Don't know where this all lines up.
It was last minute, okay? Like, I've literally just had 2
Last
minutes
minute.
to do it.
Are you fabricating it?
Right,
Do it from the other ascending channel.
Until we can make it work.
The impulse.
Go from there, wouldn't you?
Yeah. That's what I would.
Well, then it's all the way fucking down there, which means fuck all.
Yeah, but
Well, it doesn't mean
It's probably going to go down a bit more.
Yeah, that's what
remember the one. Remember the one plays irrelevant. There's a reason I take profits at the 1 level fib.
Yeah.
1618. 1618 is always the, like, you know, on flags. Flags are going to be respecting that. You
Yeah,
get a
but
flag
then
right, you'll hit
that
it
as
80,
well.
90% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So there must be
what is
some
that?
sort of pattern here for that 1618 to actually play resemblance. Like,
What are you trading that as?
yeah, but then if I was to do that, right?
I'm
Don't laugh.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm not laughing at you. Well, I might be.
I can't stop laughing.
Right. The fact that centre line,
Yeah.
okay, the fact that centre line actually plays a lot of resemblance.
Yep.
Could you not take that impulsive move out of the channel and then trade that move in itself?
Only if you've applied. I want to apply a fib retracement from that centre line where you've seen an impulse move to the low, and then see that pullback has struck a golden ratio.
What, like the 1618?
No, like the 38, the 50, or the 618, which it looks like it has. So yeah, technically, mate, yeah, there's nothing wrong in what you're doing. I just find it funny.
It's just how I've been placing. That's just how I've been placing my fib extensions, and it's worked quite well for me because I'm conservative with it. I don't go too ambitious because I don't see the reason to. Like if I'm happy with the take profit that my 1618 is at, then I'll take it.
Yeah.
I like it, Harry.
Yeah, mate. There's nothing wrong. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with that.
Fucking hell, he's going again. Stop drinking.
What?
What's in it?
Who are you talking to? You're talking to the bloke outside.
Drinking, mate.
Oh, my phone's on charge.
Fucking hell.
That's to look halfway across the room.
Since we've got everything open again, do we not assume that it's likely that the GBP will gain strength this week, like fundies wise, because everything's open?
How long is that going to last, though? So everything could be open by Wednesday. Everything could be shut again because people are taking the piss and the Queen's died. Like,
of course, but like it's they're not going to shut it down.
A strong at the start of the week, a good strength to the GP.
Yeah, it makes sense because the economy is going to get a kickstart now, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah,
but I'd only be interested. I'd only be interested in that if technicals were giving us the same, which they seem to be.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I mean, Lewis, you've done GU, hadn't you?
Yeah, I'm just gonna whack it on actually.
Yours up, mate. Let's have a look.
It's pretty much the same as yours, Dan, but I've got an extra channel which is sort of giving me confidence.
Okay.
Can everyone see this all right? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Matrix.
The Matrix. So your channel here, Dan, was, let me just zoom in, pretty much similar, I'm sure it's the same. But what was adding confidence more to me was this channel here, this descending. So if we go back to the day view, we've got some taps here. Obviously 2 further taps, an impulse breaking as well. Just adds a bit more confirmation for me. So at the minute, it looks like it's just re-entered. So when I drop down to my 4 hour, my mac's looking just as good as well. I know yours is the same there, Dan. So for me, it's personally broke. I find this interesting as well. The fact it's even reacting here. Yeah, macs are looking great. Drink on the 1 hour. Similar thing. And what I've noticed here, we've got quite a big push on the bears there, but it's higher in comparison. You'd think from that it should be lower. So for me, it's looking very bullish.
Get your fib out.
Get the fib out. It was a hard one for me, this, because I applied a fib from here, which was just way off. So when I did it from here, which would be quite conservative, what did I get? Say about there.
Way off in what sense?
I'll show you in one sec, bud. If I was, probably that, or maybe that, I don't know. Which again, I don't know. I'm not really sure on that, to be honest. I'd rather pick.
Why is your entry all the way up there?
Oh no, this would just be a buy limit. If Monday, Tuesday it's quite choppy and I'm not sure what's going on. Like, let's say if it opens there, I'd probably do a buy, but there, that's my buy limit, just for the fact.
He means your retrace though.
Mm?
Shouldn't your retrace have come lower towards the channel you were?
Oh, sorry, originally from there. That's a good point.
Yeah.
One sec, mate.
It might line up better.
Yeah, you're right there, actually. I never even thought. So you'd say from here, personally? Oh, yeah.
It lines the 1 nicely.
Let's see at the shorter view. Let's go on, we've got some sort of relevance there, maybe, but I'm still long on this, definitely. But yeah, that's pretty much the same as you, Dan. I'm thinking long, and it was more this channel, this larger channel here, that could be the reason. So,
you've had that channel marked up for weeks as well, haven't you?
Yeah. That's a bit too convenient, but I don't know. I'm like I say, oh shit. I'm happy with it for
I
now.
say, I just like the way that you extend your channel so much and they place so much relevance further down the line.
They do, Harry, and do you know what? I've noticed it more and more time often. Like, it's nothing, even from there, I still extended it and I'd wait, and just by chance, look, we've even got taps there. We've even got a tap on that. Same for that wick. And then I think the last thing that gave me a bit of confidence was on the week. If we just went off price action alone, for me, it looks like the bears are tiring just from the candles, if that makes sense. You know, like the size.
So if you were to get a retracement from your high to your low, that looks like that will line up with a 382.
Let's have a look. Do you mean from this movement here, Harry?
No, so like, you know, the second channel, the middle channel you've got at the moment, if you go from that high to that, the recent low, yeah, it's still around that 382 level, isn't it? It's obviously bouncing off of that, and obviously it's played resemblance before as well on the bottom of that channel.
I like it.
You know where you've drawn your actual take profit and stop loss?
Yeah.
Are you waiting till it bursts through that support zone, or
the actual final take profit? That's just open for now. But the main thing for me is that break. Yeah.
Will you take it on the initial impulse or a retrace?
You
generally like an impulse.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's in your favour then as well, so it kind of makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I'd change this as well depending on my risk. I need to check my balance and all the other stuff. But yeah, I'd be happy with it from there. But like I say, Monday, I would be very tempted because in the past, gaps have sometimes played in my favour where it's open here. Obviously, with it being so volatile, you have to be careful. So I'll just see. I'll play it by ear. So
I like it.
But yeah, that's it, boys, for now. In fact, actually, there was which one of you do engulfing? Do many of you are using the engulfing techniques at the minute? I've got this on JPY on a 12-hour. Now, I've only been using 12-hour just to look at the Mac because obviously it's.
I was just about to ask you about the 12-hour.
Yeah, that's just for Mac purposes, in my opinion. Just helps confidence.
I use the 8.
The 8. Oh, it makes sense. Double the 4.
Get a scope out.
Nice, Ed. Would that be an engulfing to you boys, or I don't know?
Yeah, definitely.
Just something I was looking at. It's a 12-hour.
Yeah.
It's a ball sandwich as well.
Yeah,
we've got a bit around that level, so.
What, the ball sandwich here with the
big impulsive green one, with the little red one in the middle, and then the green. Yeah.
Do you trade the sandwich then with a retrace?
Say that again.
Do you trade the sandwich with a retrace?
What do you mean? In terms of, so you look for a retrace?
As a flag.
Yeah, because the fact that obviously we've had the sandwich there, and then the most recent candle, like this 12-hour candle, is actually like retraced to the top of that sandwich.
Oh right, no, I base it on the fib retracement.
Right,
okay. So you go off these levels, right? Yeah.
Like that 382 level.
Yeah, it's because that's a price action technique, isn't it? We're not.
Yeah.
It's nice to have, like Lewis has got all of his structure marked out, but to enter a trade based on that is a price action. So we need to use a price action entry. So by taking a trade based on a retrace to the top here, that's taking a trade based on structure when this is a price action technique. So I'd use the fib, which is a price action. But yeah, mate, that is looking good. I like that.
I don't even know what
to take.
I've never tested that in the 12-hour or anything. I've never used it.
They've stung me before, so that's why I wasn't sure. But I know a couple of years I do look for engulfing. So
what time frames have they stung you in?
I think it was 4 hour.
So I like it as a scalp. I like, for me, you guys know, like we'll take a trade. I could like EJ. I've still got EJs from the 14th of fucking May.
It's nice.
So like but I'd never take a trade. Like I wouldn't look at a monthly candle and go, oh, bullish engulfing, let's buy and hold for 6 months.
God, could you imagine the loss you could be
in? You need to have some kind of structure, like obviously because the structure is what's going to give us a clear-cut entry and decide the targets, and the price action is just going to help us confirm that. So for me, I like to have, if I'm using the engulfing method, I think the other Lewis is in here as well. I know he was using that for a while. I think he's now moved. He's now sort of trading flags and structure as well. But I know like he had like a string of like
He had some nice ones.
he had like 4 or 5 in a row, and it was just like take profit after take profit. And I'm pretty sure he was using the 15-minute view.
Okay, nice. I actually tried this. I think didn't you try something like this? Was it on TradingView now? You've got all these.
Oh,
the ones
I saw
looked
that.
At, they were crap. I was like, no, it's not done it for me.
What is it?
I just saw it. It highlights all the things.
Oh, so now you can be a true lazy ass.
That's right.
Now you don't need to have a fucking clue what's going on.
I have traded these, mate, and they are poor. Trust me. I thought, oh, we've done it. Done the job.
How many scammers are going to use that now?
No, mate.
Wow.
See, I wouldn't
Crazy,
class that second one as a bullish engulfing either.
Same, I know.
No.
Weird. So, but yeah.
How strange is that? I mean, the first one, definitely, but that second one, it hasn't even gone down to touch that wick from the previous candle. Yeah, I'd say.
But, yeah.
Bastards.
I think I'm going to stay away from them for a while, but that did catch my eye, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays.
Nice one. Awesome.
It's a good learning technique. Like,
it's a good what?
Like if you're looking, if you don't know what a certain doji is or something, and then obviously highlight.
It's not if it's going to highlight stuff wrong, though, is it?
Yeah. Assuming it's
I could fucking. I mean, here, mate. Wait there. Look, here, lads. You got bearish engulfing there. You got a bearish engulfing there. We got another bearish engulfing here. We got a double top just there. Exactly. Like. No, I don't know. I think as I said, like with the Head and Shoulders, I'm a pain in the arse with stuff like that. So for me to take something into account as being, like a lot of people clearly TradingView doesn't have the same set of rules to class
criteria,
as a bullish engulfing or a bearish.
Can we get my remote? Where's my remote?
What's going on?
Harry's porn's just come up on loud.
No, I was watching a film and then the film's just sort of closed down. It's gone to
don't
Netflix
let us keep you away from what you're up to.
Yeah, you crack on, mate. Whack kettle on.
Jeez, nice.
Right, do you not have a pause button?
Yeah, I put it on pause, but then after however long we've been on this thing for, it goes
to turn off.
Home screen. Yeah, it just does it automatically. So I'm like, oh, fuck you then.
How rude.
Hassan, you've not got a chart for us, mate.
Who's that?
Go on, Asim.
Asim, you're set, lad.
He's gonna.
Night school's about to start anyway, mate.
It is,
yeah. It actually is.
What else have you got there?
He's begging you to.
Where are these tweets at this time of night? Are they nuts?
They're cashew nuts.
Oh, I like nuts.
I'm going to go and eat some Starburst.
Why are you eating
It looks like we're wrapping it up, eh?